That I promise you is what has kept all of us sleepless at night. But I assure you that we will win with determination and resilience.
On the news tonight, President Tinubu opens National Economic Council conference, hints at mechanization to transform agric sector, and renewed commitment to end terrorism for the nation's prosperity. 2026 budget will expand Nigeria's economy, Minister of State Finance tells senators at public hearings.
It is no longer sufficient for budgets to be well crafted on paper. This shift means more employment opportunities, improvements in macroeconomic stability, infrastructure delivery, national security, and ultimately the welfare of our citizens.
Plus, Electoral Act Amendments 2026. Protesters march to National Assembly ahead of Senate special session on Tuesday. Hello and thank you for joining us on the Network News on NTA. I'm Naja Atutijani. And joining me on the news tonight from Lagos is Adiola Komi-Akere, and right here in our Abuja studios with sports and business highlights, Musa Abubakar and Ayo Makinde. Let's start with Ayo. What's happening in the world of sports?
Well, it all ended 4-4 in Bauchi in the match between Wiki Tourists and Katsina United on the rescheduled pairing in the Nigeria Premier Football League. And of course, there's a breaking news we expect in the course of the bulletin.
All right, just hold that thought. Let's hear from Musa first.
NABSA urges the European Union to invest in Nigeria as the equities market begins the week in positive territory.
And thank you, Musa, for that. We look forward to the details. Do remember that this broadcast is being streamed live on our website, nta.ng/live. Don't worry about missing any part of the bulletin, as you can watch the replay on our YouTube channel. And now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has hinted at a mechanization program coming to transform the agricultural sector across zones of the Federation, assuring all that the country will overcome terrorism and other forms of insecurity in the country. The president made these commitments when he declared open the National Economic Council conference at the State House in Abuja. And our team of State House correspondents, Musbah Danwahab and Abdurrahman Jibrila, bring us the details.
President Bola Tinubu honors the call as the special guest of state governors and other key players at the National Economic Council Conference. It is the second edition, 10 years after the first, a platform for robust conversation and assessment of the national social and economic policies, particularly the strides under the renewed Hope administration. The country has over the years faced structural challenges which the president highlighted to include macroeconomic imbalances, infrastructural deficits, unemployment, poverty, and climate vulnerabilities. Yet, President Bola Tinubu expressed fulfillment that through bold and necessary reforms, stability is returning to the economic climate.
We have recorded notable achievement that reflects our commitment to cooperative federalism and inclusive development. This, first, state and local government now receive increased and more predictable federal allocations, improving their capacity to pay salaries, invest in infrastructure, and deliver social services. The monetary policy that we've embarked on since the reforms has yielded positive results and is being recognized around the world.
Now, the renewed Hope administration is progressing into the second phase of its National Development Plan 2026 to 2030. But then, terrorism and other forms of insecurity remain a turbulent hindrance on the path to economic progress. Again, President Tinubu assures of victory in the end.
And I'm living here again to further find means to strengthen our security forces to defeat terrorism and combat it. That I promise you is what has kept all of us sleepless at night. But I assure you that we will win with determination and resilience.
Here, the president sets agenda for the stakeholders.
I'm confident that the resolution of this conference will include dairy farming, livestock investment, ranches, and diversification of our agricultural produce. I promise you here, I play my part.
We thank you so sincerely, President Sir.
And so the president hands over to his second-in-command, whom he described as a dependable partner, Kashim Shettima, to continue to chair the two-day conversation with expectation for a far-reaching outcome in the end. Now let's join my colleague Abdurrahman Jibrila for the issues of the conference. Abdurrahman.
Thank you, Musbau. The chairman of the National Economic Council and Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria is opening more doors for economic development aimed at encouraging economic growth with focus on addressing macroeconomic priorities.
Nigeria's future will not be decided in Abuja alone. It will be shaped in our states, in our local communities, and through the choices we make in forums such as this. This is why today calls for a renewed commitment to collaboration, pragmatism, and shared responsibility. As deliberations unfold over the next 2 days, I urge each of us to be bold in thought, courageous in questioning the status quo, and resolute in crafting an implementable roadmap that speaks not just to growth, but to growth that is inclusive, sustainable, and transformative.
Governors of the 36 states and key stakeholders, guided by the theme of the conference, delivering inclusive growth and sustainable development, the renewed Hope National Development Plan, said the policy direction for the states aligns with the government at the center's long-term economic agenda.
We look forward to frank conversations, practical solutions, and outcomes that strengthen all governments' capacity to deliver inclusive, resilient, and trusted growth for the Nigerian people, and so we can achieve the targeted $1 trillion economy.
The government recognized that by mobilizing all parts of Nigeria, all local governments, states, and the federal government, we can generate faster, rapid, inclusive growth, because each unit in Nigeria is uniquely placed. So by understanding those places and holding each other, we can mobilize the private sector, we can mobilize development partners, we can mobilize a total of society approach so that each part of Nigeria can do and function better.
Topics to be discussed include building a $1 trillion economy, imperatives of the renewed Hope National Development Plan 2026 to 2030, and subnational competitiveness and growth through fiscal and tax sustainability and implementation, readiness of the 4 tax reform acts, among other economic issues. From the State House, Brahman Jibrila, NTA News.
And from the State House venue of the conference, straight to our studios, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule is here to tell us more about the conference. Thank you for joining us, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much for having me.
And now let's quickly talk about the significance of this conference. I mean, it's happening 10 years after the first one. So in your opinion, what's your assessment? How did it go, and was it really necessary?
I think first and foremost, we have to show great appreciation to the President for this initiative, and then give a lot of credit, to 3 different institutions. Number one is actually the Ministry of Budget and Planning, where His Excellency Bagudu, as the minister, is doing a very good job in putting the plan together. Then, of course, the Ministry of Finance and Planning, and then finally, the department concerning the CBN for all the imperatives that they have been able to put together. So if you have listened actually to the president, the whole idea is what you call, grassroots development. It is where you are developing the economy from the grassroots. So it is no longer top to bottom, it is actually bottom up. So the whole idea is to look at it and say that, okay, Nigeria has 8,809 wards from these 774 local government areas. Now, in every ward, what is the competitive advantage? What can be done? So what the president has done in his presentation, and actually duplicated also by the various presenters, including the vice president, the Minister of Economic Planning, the Minister of Budget, Minister of Economic Planning as well, and the CBN. What they have done continuously, is to show, that federal government alone cannot do it. Federal government is only going to do its best on the part of, this is the vision, this is the plan. We want to have a $1 trillion economy. So who is going to drive it? The driving engines are actually the states and the private sector. So that's why the whole idea about it is involving the states, bringing them on, and then saying that, okay, the states, what are you going to do? And I will be selfish by taking Nasarawa, for instance, and say that, how can Nasarawa do that? We say, okay, in Nasarawa we have competitive advantages in 3 different areas. Number one, in agriculture. We are very strong in agriculture, and we select the crops where we can. So we can create employment opportunities for the people. We can go back and say that now that we have employment, we have the infrastructure leading to the areas, we have power, we have the roads, we have water, and then the people are now self-employed. Then we go into the area of mining, where we are still also very strong, and ensure that for every mineral that we are mining, we are also processing in Nasarawa State. For instance, if it is lithium, if it is tin, if it is columbite, if it is lead, zinc, whatever it is. So we do that, and then we process in Nasarawa State. That way, you create employment opportunity for the people, and then you give the people the independence to be able to be part of that. So, and as I said, finally is the oil and gas where we are. But all these things are not possible if you don't have the skill, you don't have the education, you don't have good health structure, and the rest of that. So that is where, again, all those ones come in. So why am I saying this is the best time that the president is doing that? Today, we're talking about somewhere like 15.5% inflation. If you remember, just 2-3 years ago, we were having inflation of over 30%. 2-3 years ago, we were having a situation where our exchange rate was somewhere hitting almost 2,000 naira to the dollar. Today, it has come down to less than 1,400. If it was also the same period that we are talking about, if you look at it, that we are having lots of challenges of security from all fronts. So now the issue of insecurity has been restricted to certain areas. So you can go on and on and on. But then look at also our oil production. Oil production has moved from the 1.1, 1.2. Today we are having oil production that is going as much as 1.75 million barrels, per day. And Nigeria has the capacity to go 3 million barrels per day from the presentation today. And coming from the oil and gas sector, I know that with our 40 billion barrels of reserve, we can easily produce 3 million barrels per day. So these are all the opportunities that you see that are there, and Nigeria is actually attracting it now. But the best thing is that it has to carry everybody, the federal, the states, the local government, and the private sector. Those are going to be the driving engines, So, and that's what the whole conference is all about.
So essentially, Your Excellency, you're saying it's all about delivering inclusive growth and sustainable development in all sectors. And speaking of that, since we're saying that the conference is for the people at the grassroots, let's talk about what is expected tomorrow. What is the outcome? Break it down enough for the man at the grassroots to understand, because, as you've explained, it is for the people at the grassroots from the bottom upwards.
Okay. Well, at the grassroots, as I said earlier, every state is distinctive. You know, there are certain states that are good in the oil and gas sector, certain states are good in ICT, certain states. So every state has its own niche area. So, and so every ward, you know, out of this 8,809 that I mentioned earlier, every ward you go to, you will find something. But some wards have challenges. Some have challenges of education. Some have challenges of, you know, road infrastructure. Some have challenges of water. Some have power. Some have so. What this conference is all about is to identify, and that is where the driving engines of the regions come in. You know, every state will say that. You know, for us in Nasarawa State, for instance, you know, we say we have so and so number, you know, of our wards. So we say, okay, in my local government, for instance, Akwanga, we have 11 wards. So we say in these 11 wards, what happens to Goody Ward? What happens to Ajaga Ward? What happened to, you know, Akwanga West Road? So these are the kinds of things that you will pick, and then that there are some that will be good in ICT. There are some that have water, some have not. Some are only looking for input for their agriculture in order to support them to go ahead. Some are very good, they have mining capacities. You have to help them, you know, to make sure they materialize. Some are, so these are all the various things they have, and that is what this is all about. You know, so to pick each one of them and to do that. In addition, I think what the president mentioned is that every ward is going to have about 1,000 people who are going to be empowered in one way or the other in order for them to help the economy. Because you have to build the economy from the wards, and that's what the conference is all about. That's why it is called, you know, a renewed hub ward development agenda. You know, so it has to start from the ward and then build up to the federal government.
I thank you very much, Your Excellency. Essentially, what you've outlined is that part of the outcomes after the conference is to expect more empowerment in this new ward initiative. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with the governor of Nasarawa State, who was at the National Economic Conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, sir. This is the Network News on NTA. Stay tuned for more after the break. We're still talking the economy. The federal government says the 2026 budget is strategic to the stabilization and expansion of the nation's economy. The Minister of State for Finance, Anita Uzoka, while speaking at a public hearing on the 2026 budget organized by the Senate Appropriations Committee, said the budget reflects realities across sectors. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The minister is among stakeholders at the 2026 budget public hearing with the theme From Budget to Impact. They are looking at how fiscal discipline, reforms and strong implementation could translate into tangible economic and social outcomes.
It is no longer sufficient for budgets to be well crafted on paper. This shift means more employment opportunities, improvements in macroeconomic stability, infrastructure delivery, national security, and ultimately the welfare of our citizens. For ordinary Nigerians,
we must be candid about the recent challenges. The capital component of 2025 Operation Act fiscal implementation constraint, with the capital releases lagging behind expectation. The challenges arising largely from the transition pressure and the competing executive demand provide an important lesson in 2026.
Towards getting a budget that reflects the wishes and aspirations of the people.
That a budget is not an end in itself. It is a moral document. It reveals priorities. It exposes values. It answers silently but firmly the question of who and what a nation chooses to protect, promote, and preserve.
In the keynote address, a professor of economics gives insights and perspectives on Nigeria's fiscal outlook.
The recent waves of reform has laid the groundwork for a more resilient and transparent economic framework. For instance, exchange rate unification has reduced distortions and appetite, and not only that, it has enhanced the confidence of investors.
In another development, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umo Eno have praised ongoing reforms of President Tinubu as Akpabio hosts the group Arise with Renewed Hope initiative. The group has been adopted as the APC political structure in Akwa Ibom State for the 2027 general elections. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Nigeria's push for economic recovery and industrial expansion took center stage when the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment defended its 2026 budget before a joint committee of the National Assembly on Industry, Trade and Investment. Now let's join National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikpen for details of this and other budget defense sessions.
A busy day in Parliament as lawmakers interrogate budget proposals of federal ministries and agencies for 2026. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, defends her ministry's proposals, explaining that rollover of 2.55 billion naira 2025 budget into the 2026 appropriation is to deepen the nation's economic recovery efforts and consolidate gains recorded in 2024.
When we negotiate with other countries, they agree to take our goods and so that our people can sell, and they also agree to buy our goods.
We are satisfied. People have asked questions where they have concerns, and the questions have been properly answered.
Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate, took his turn before the joint health committees of the House of Representatives, canvassing greater domestic funding of mass vaccination programs.
The last money that we had grant for vaccine financing was 2024. Even that was not complete. Yet we have continued to immunize Nigerian children to protect them from diseases. We have outbreaks that we protect Nigerians. We did a massive measles and rubella campaign, but the counterpart funding that Nigeria should put is always late in coming.
We'll do whatever possible if there is any way we can increase the budget for health.
Some medical directors appealed for federal government subsidy for peculiar health services.
Any person that comes to orthopedic hospital, majority of them will need one implant or the other for hip replacement, for knee replacement, and it is becoming out of the reach of the average Nigerian.
While reviewing the budget estimates of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, lawmakers describe the agencies as crucial to combating financial crimes, which they say constitute significant drain on the nation's economy.
We must acknowledge critical work they do in protecting Nigeria's economy. My challenge is money, money, money. Last week, we had cause to have a bill, an invoice for just one item in my forensic lab for over 4 billion, just one item. Because the activities of the fraudsters are going, high-tech.
The anti-graft bodies look forward to improving their investigative and prosecutorial capacities with more budgetary releases. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a coalition of civil society organizations, youth groups and pro-democracy activists under the name National Opposition Movement has been led by the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate to air their grievances at the main entrance of the National Assembly over a clause in the newly proposed Electoral Act awaiting passage at the National Assembly. With heavy security presence, the protest, tagged Occupy National Assembly, is aimed at pushing for the reversal of the alleged position on the electronic transmission clause in the ongoing Electoral Act Amendment Bill.
And also to pass the bill on the transmission of real-time transmission of results from the polling units. Anything short of it is unacceptable to us. We are going to wait for the outcome of their meeting tomorrow.
We want a situation in this 2027 where the results that are gotten from the polling units are the same when it is announced.
Despite recent clarification by the Red Chamber denying the rejection, the demonstrators said the Senate must be explicit in the provision for electronic transmission of election results. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has convened an emergency sitting of the Senate with this issue of electoral amendment likely to dominate plenary. And now the Guild of Editors has expressed concern over the controversy surrounding the Senate's position on the transmission of election results ahead of the 2027 general elections. In a statement signed by both the President of the Guild, Eze Anapa, and the Secretary General, Onoha Uke, the development is already creating room for doubt and mistrust in the electoral process among Nigerians. It urges the Senate, as it reconvenes Tuesday, to harmonize its position with that of the House of Representatives for the National Assembly to uphold the highest standards of electoral integrity by approving mandatory and immediate transmission of election results from polling units to the INEC central server and collation centers. It's now time to join Adeola in our Lagos Network Center. Adeola, over to you. Adeola.
Thank you. As part of efforts to boost livestock farming in the country, the federal government has begun the distribution of diseases prevention vaccines to all states of the federation. Representative of the Ministry of Livestock was in Lagos to hand over the state's batch to the Lagos state delegates. Larry Milei witnessed the handing over.
Demonstrating its seriousness about expecting $75 billion from the agricultural sector to contribute to the GDP, the federal government has started distributing vaccines, livestock vaccines, to all states of the federation, and it's the turn of Lagos State.
Since we have for the state government CBPP, 10,000 doses, Newcastle disease vaccines, 100,000 doses, foot and mouth disease vaccine, 1,500 doses. These vaccines will help in fighting against transboundary animal disease.
The distribution of the livestock vaccines is a proactive measure to boost livestock farming in the country.
Highly appreciated. In fact, it come at the right time because this is the period of the vaccination. We are supposed to start the vaccination because this is the dry season. And this is when we have the outbreak of the disease.
One of the targeted diseases is Newcastle disease, a highly contagious, often fatal viral infection affecting domestic poultry and wild birds, caused by virulent strains of avian paramaxilus virus type, which has no treatment, making vaccination and strict biosecurity crucial for prevention, and the disease is often prevalent at this time of the year. In Lagos, Larry Milei, NTA News.
Lagos is making a strategic push to becoming a global financial hub. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is chairing the initiative, says it has the International Financial Center Lagos, and it also has the potential of attracting international investment and strengthening Nigeria's financial sector. Joyken Abakboye reports.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the project is guided by long-term vision, strong institutions, and active collaboration between public and private sectors. He added that state and federal institutions are being integrated into the initiative to protect it from political disruptions and ensure its continuity.
It's about we saying that where our leadership has taken it to, we want to double and quadruple it in the next couple of years. And it's only when we do this and do it right that it can happen. The private sector have a lot to do. The public sector have a lot to do. All of us working collaboratively and sharing the risk, the responsibility, we can make it happen.
Stakeholders described the center as a landmark project capable of unlocking both domestic and international investment while supporting critical infrastructure development across the country.
There's a collective win-win outcome that everybody shares and benefits from.
Global and domestic capital is attracted by predictability and stability.
The Lagos International Financial Center is expected to enhance financial sector capacity, create employment opportunities, and strengthen Nigeria's competitiveness in the global economic landscape. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakoya, NTA News.
And that's it from Lagos. The network news will continue in Abuja after this time out.
Thanks for joining us again. It's time to join Musa on the business beat. Musa, a lot of joining there.
Well, I can see that. Well, thank you, Naja. Dr. Olufemi Ogunyemi, CEO of NEBSA, has urged the European Union to invest in Nigeria's special economic zones, stressing their potential to boost economic engagement, reduce reliance on primary commodities, and secure critical supply chains in West Africa. He made the appeal during a trade and investment meeting at the European House in Abuja, addressing European diplomats and officials, highlighting that Africa-EU trade in 2024 reached nearly 355 billion euros in goods and over 100 billion euros in services. Dr. Ogunyemi said Nigeria's special economic zones can drive value-added production, industrial growth, and human capital development, increase EU investment, and he added, will diversify trade, enhance resilience, and create mutually beneficial partnership amid global economic shifts. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has approved free registration for 3,500 small businesses across Nigeria as part of activities marking its 35th anniversary. Registrar General of the Commission, Hussaini Ishaq Magaji, SAN, announced the initiative on Monday in Abuja. Magaji described the milestone as a celebration of purpose, resilience, and transformation since the Commission's establishment, noting that CAC has evolved from a single manual registration office serving the entire country to a fully digital corporate registry accessible globally. He recalled that in the early years, Nigerians were required to travel to Abuja to register businesses, with all records processed manually. According to him, the Commission has since transformed into one of Africa's most dynamic corporate registries, offering services online round the clock.
Millions of entrepreneurs to move from the informal sector into the structured economy.
It has also encouraged both domestic and foreign investment, supported the growth of nano, micro, small and medium-scale enterprises, strengthened Nigeria's reputation as a hub for trade and investment in Africa, and greatly helped in the efforts that culminated in Nigeria's exit from the Global Financial Action Task Force grey list.
As more Nigerians get digitally connected and exposed, the EVC, NCC, Aminu Maida, and National Commissioner NDPC Vincent Olatunji tighten loose ends to ensure that Nigerians' personal information is handled responsibly. This is as modern communication services now depend heavily on data, especially with the rise of digital platforms and artificial intelligence. The collaboration between these agencies will deepen the foundation of Nigeria's digital economic transformation and attract more investment into the sector.
To ensure that as citizens generate data on our platform, that the right governance is in place according to the laws of the land.
The Nigerian Data Protection Commission and the Nigerian Communication Commission to see how we can effectively work together to take care of the privacy and protection of the data of all Nigerians that have their data with the data controllers and processors.
And now to the capital market. The Nigerian equities market closed the trading session on a positive note as the all-share index advanced to 173,946.22 points. The market's total equity capitalization stood at 111.66 trillion naira, reflecting sustained investor interest across key sectors of the exchange. Overall, the positive close signals continued confidence in the equities market, supported by improved liquidity and active participation from both institutional and retail investors. Well, that's business news. Naja is back to you.
Thank you, Musa. And now we're going to be talking examinations and the results for the 2025 November-December National Business and Technical Advanced National Certificate Examination has been described as a significant increase in enrollment and growing confidence in NAPTEP examinations. That's what the Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of NAPTEP, Dr. Mohammed Aminu, says. And he also revealed that out of the 61,591 candidates who sat for the exam, more than 34,000 obtained credits, 5 credits and above, including in English and mathematics. Uduakobong Archibong reports.
591 candidates registered for the examinations, comprising 57,444 O-level candidates and 4,147 A-level candidates. Of this total, 34,185 were males and 27,406 females. At the craft and mastercraft levels, candidates were enrolled in a total of 86 trades and 19 general education subjects across both ordinary and advanced level certificate examinations.
Overall, 57.32% of candidates were certified as craftsmen with MBC and /NTC certificate, while 56.52% were certified as master craftsmen with ANBC/ANTC certificates.
While 60% of candidates had 5 credits and above, including English language and mathematics, 54,009 candidates obtained 5 credits and above, with or without English language and mathematics, representing 94.74%.
Our goal is to transform Nigeria into the skilled destination hub and equip our youth with 21st century skill in line with Mr. President's renewed hope agenda.
As the nation advances the implementation of the new TVET initiative through NAPTEP, the Registrar and CEO of the board expressed commitment to strengthening examination system through digital innovations, capacity building, and strategic collaboration with relevant stakeholders. In Benin, Uduakobong Archibong, NTA News.
Now, the National Commercial Tricycle and Motorcycle Owners and Riders Association, NACTO Morat, has unveiled and presented its 2026 annual calendar, commending the federal government for the equitable distribution of CNG-powered tricycles among members nationwide. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
In here are members of the National Commercial Tricycle, Motorcycle Owners and Riders Association, NACTOMORAS, nationwide. They have converged basically to have an annual meeting to chart a better course for the year. On the table is to better intimate members on progresses made so far, which includes appreciation of the President for the distribution of the compressed natural gas-powered tricycles to members nationwide, while reassuring that the association will continue to partner with the federal and state governments in terms of contribution of its quota towards national development.
We want the speed of government PCNG office should speed up so that we can reach all the set, so that the benefit is for all of us.
CNG is very safe, it's cheap, and accessible on both storage.
CNG 3,000 naira, you can walk like 12,000 naira from fuel.
I still continue to empower let them do it so that the Southeast zone will be recognized.
We have a better line of communication. We have a better line of understanding towards protecting the Federal Republic of Nigeria by ensuring a better growth culture for you and me.
They also assured the government of their members' obedience to traffic rules and regulations, as they have continued to train and retrain their members in proper safety rules and traffic signs in order to ensure safety to and from their different destinations. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
And now let's head to Gombe State, where the government has taken over several development projects executed by the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC. Abazmi Kanu reports.
The Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, is making strides in rebuilding and revitalizing critical infrastructures across the sub-region. Gombe State government has just taken over several development projects executed by the Commission to boost healthcare, education, and infrastructure. They include 4 maternity hospitals with 20-bed capacity wards, delivery room, as well as anti- and post-natal care facilities located at BCG, Liji, Biliri, and Yolde. 2 medical storage facilities have also been upgraded at the Gombe Central Medical Store. NEDC also handed over 4 lecture halls in Gombe State University, a block of classes at the Ahmadu Gombe Secondary School, and male and female hostels at Gombe State School of Nursing. 3 mega secondary schools with 480 student capacity hostels, libraries, and fencing have also been constructed in Kaltungo, Dukku, and Dadinkoa, while 250 capacity student hostels were built for Government Technical College Kumu and 2 other secondary schools. The projects were commissioned during a tour led by the State Minister of Regional Development, Ubamegere Amadu, alongside Chairman House Committee on NEDC, among others.
If you saw any institution where basic equipment were not already there, they probably will be waiting for the structures to be completed. You don't bring the equipment when the construction is ongoing or not yet completed. In fact, structures, they must be 100% completed.
We are most grateful to NEDC for providing this infrastructure that will aid learning, will aid and reduce some of the things that we are supposed to have done.
Other highlights of the tour include the commissioning of the state office of the NEDC. The team also inspected ongoing construction of a 3-span bridge on Gombe-Kwame Road. In Gombe, Abbas Mekano, NTA News.
Meanwhile, government and stakeholders must play their part in ensuring transparency and accountability in tax collection and administration to maximize the benefits of the new tax reform, say speakers at the 61st birthday anniversary lecture in honor of Dr. Olatunde Oladokun, chairman of SEEP, Self-Reliant Economic Advancement Program Holding Company Limited. It was marked in Ilorin, Kwara State, and Aisha Abubakar Yahaya has the details.
The new tax reform simplifies tax compliance, consolidates existing multiple tax statutes into a single framework, thereby reducing bureaucracy and encouraging investment. While Nigerians, especially the lower class and the business community, have been skeptical about the reform, Mr. Olani Sunday Omotosho allayed their fear, saying the latest reform is the best Nigeria has ever had.
It's a long-term investment, not something we earn the benefit now. All of us need to work with the government in order to realize the objective and its aim.
Other speakers, who are mostly tax experts and social commentators, agreed that payment of tax is critical to the success of any government, as they commended the celebrants for bringing such topical issue for discussion.
The platform is designed for people, for government to get feedback from the citizens so that they'll be able to plan and ensure that the reform that is going on within the tax system is to the benefit of the citizen.
We should emulate this kind of feat so that you keep your people in touch with development.
The celebrant and chairman of SEEP Holdings Company Limited, Pastor Olatunde Oladokun, who was overwhelmed by positive reactions from the lecture, underscored the need for the government and the people to work together in boosting internally generated revenue.
all the microfinance institutions that are paying their taxes. The government should pick interest in them, empower them financially to empower the grassroots. Number 2 is for the people that we implement this policy to be sincere.
The birthday lecture was themed Tax Reform for Shared Prosperity, Building a Responsible Nation. Aisha Abubakar Yahaya, NTA News.
It's now time to join Ayo in his sporting corner for updates. Ayo.
Thanks so much, Naja Atu. Enthusiasts have called for intensified and continuous competitions for fives athletes as a key strategy for the development of the sport in the country. They made this submission at the second edition of the Interstate Fives Unity Cup Championship in Abuja, with Kebbi State emerging as the overall champions, winning all 4 titles in the senior, intermediate, junior and female categories. Katsina State finished second with 3 medals. Kaduna State placed third with 2 medals, while host FCT ended the tournament in 4th position.
Is to keep the
Right, match day 25 of the Nigeria Premier Football League between Wiki Tourist of Bauchi and Katsina United rounded off Monday morning after it was interrupted in the 78th minute on Sunday, as the match ended 4-all to be one of the highest scoring matches of the season so far. Let's leave the shores of the country and go over to Saudi Arabia, where Cristiano Ronaldo is set to return for Al Nassr against Al Fateh on Saturday under head coach Jorge Jesus after missing recent matches against Al Riyadh and Al Ittihad. Ronaldo and Al Nassr's management held high-level talks with the Public Investment Fund, PIF, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, and major investors in the league's top club. And that's your sports. It's back to Naja Atu.
Thank you, Ayo. Well, you're joining me so that we can take the weather forecast. All right, I understand that we won't be taking that right now, and so we've come to the end of the network news on NTA. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm Najat Atutujani.